across Alabama. We have called a first alert weather day for Saturday. What that means, timing, impacts, and what you can expect coming up.
Plus, what we know about a record-setting earthquake that hit the state of Louisiana earlier this morning, and how a student at FAMU is working on something that could revolutionize how long submarines can stay underwater. The key ingredient is using covers approximately 70% of the Earth's surface.
Live on your side. First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
And welcome into Weather Extra. Tania, earlier today you were showing one of those the one behind you actually in Centerville. Look like more of those prescribed burns happening today.
Oh yeah, definitely impacting the air quality. You can still see the haze in this camera there. And yeah, we want you to be safe and careful out and about this evening.
Yeah, I was noticing the last map here that updated. We were seeing some moderate air quality levels in here across central areas, but still having some impacts. So we were talking about that earlier this week with Ethan from the Forestry Division here on Weather Extra, but it's that time of year. We will be talking about some rain coming back. I know the drought is still a big issue also across the state of Alabama. Watching Saturday for a more organized risk now, possibly some stronger wind gusts, especially for areas I'm most concerned north and west of places like Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, but we'll watch it closely. Let's show you what's happening here. First off, this is a live look on AccuTrack live radar, and yes, there is one little pop-up shower way south. This is down along the Alabama River, not far from Selma, that has popped up here in our area. Not seeing much, and you go even further south, you get down to southeast Alabama. There was a decent storm, had several lightning strikes. It passed near Eufaula over Barber County. That moved north. Again, that's way south of our area, but there's some deeper moisture in here that's going to lift in with this south flow. We could see some fog in the morning again. We'll break into a partly sunny day, but tomorrow as we heat up, I do think we'll see some pop-up scattered showers and storms. Now, as far as widespread severe risk tomorrow, that's going to be way back in here where you see the Storm Prediction Center has more of an enhanced severe weather risk back into parts of northwest Arkansas. Eventually, all that stormy weather is going to start to slide our way along a front, and it arrives during the day on Saturday. This is the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center out of Norman, Oklahoma. They have a level 1 marginal risk. I went ahead and bumped up our outlook for a first alert weather day because we're going to have a chance to really heat up on Saturday. I think that's going to add to the instability. A decent little gust front moves in with this Saturday night, so that's going to at least bring some strong wind gusts, 20, 30 miles per hour, and there might be a strong to severe storm out of this. So let's talk about the forecast data, and we're just going to jump ahead into this system here Saturday, and you can see that line as it approaches right there. Really intense as it first moves in, but still we're seeing signals that this will gradually weaken as it moves south during the overnight hours. Now, this particular model shows that this could arrive 2 to 3 o'clock. Just know that that is the earliest possible scenario. We do have some models that hold this off until after 5 o'clock. So if you have an important gathering there later on Saturday, just know there's a chance. Check in tomorrow that we may be able to push that start time back a little bit. But this is showing 4 o'clock, and again, maybe a couple of strong to severe storms in here. Straight line wind gusts, that's the main concern. I don't think we'll see the level of hail storms like we saw last time as this moved through. I know we're still seeing stories and recovery. We just had a story in the last newscast about some of the recovery from the storms last time from all the hail damage. I think this go around is just mostly a nice little gusty wind threat there, or gust front that's going to move through, and in some areas along that line we could have some brief damaging wind gusts. That's the main thing to watch out for. Could see some more rain coming back on Sunday. As this pushes to the south, it might cool us off enough we end up with a decent day Sunday and a Monday. But again, we heat up next week, and that's when we're going to have that next round of storms by the middle of next week. We're tracking that, and even a cold snap on the way. A lot that we'll get into all coming up right here on Weather Extra.
Well, if you have plans this evening, you need to count yourself lucky and blessed because we're staying dry. We've got dry conditions for the rest of your night tonight. Temperatures fairly warm too. Most areas going to be in the 60s as we continue throughout the rest of your Thursday, really. Overnight temperatures may drop into the upper 50s, but most areas low 60s as we kick off your Friday. We're going to see more clouds around tomorrow, but also a few pop-up showers and thunderstorms as we approach the second half of the day. Still going to be very warm and a little humid too. Grab that umbrella and rain jacket if you have any plans after lunchtime tomorrow. You may just be running into some rain and maybe even an isolated storm on your commute home from work or from picking your kids up from school. We'll be walking you through the timing of those showers and storms as we head into your weekend right here in just a bit. But hurricane season doesn't start until June 1st. But a nonprofit in Florida is wasting no time getting people prepared ahead of time for whatever nature throws their way. Brianna Arredondo has the story.
Instead of sand, volunteers bagged up kits stuffed with flashlights, fireproof bags, solar-powered battery packs, dry bags, and more, handing them out for free Wednesday to people in the community.
Well, it gives us more things that we don't have to go out and look for, and we have already in our stockpile of things.
It is really early for this, but that is the point. The scars from Milton and Helene in 2024 run deep.
You can never be too prepared. I think if you've been here for a while, the week before a hurricane, there's nothing on the shelves.
So the nonprofit Rebuilding Together worked with the Bucks and Verizon to give out 500 disaster preparedness kits in Tampa.
My parents' home flooded, so they moved in with my husband and I, which was awesome that we could do that. A lot of people didn't have a place to go.
Organizers say these bags cost about $65 to build, and it's still not everything a person needs.
That's why you need to prepare ahead of time and buy it when it's on sale.
The Head Start offers peace for the mind and wallet.
Does it save you time, money?
Yes, because I looked at the list and I'm like, oh yes, I can use all of those. Because I actually had to leave my house for the first time, with the last storm, and I've been in that house for 30 years, so that was very scary.
Tampa residents are also building skills, training for the Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT program. Dana Gordon finished up about 6 months ago.
So to be able to sit down and understand what to do in emergency and how to do search and rescue operations, how to have a disaster psychology, it was all really good stuff that I can use in other parts of my life because you never know when an emergency is going to happen.
CERT training, just like these kids, are part of thinking ahead to stay ready well before you have to get ready.
There's only so many fire and rescue, there's so many emergency vehicles out there, so when there is some sort of natural disaster, the more people that could be trained to help out, the better.
What a new study is revealing about sea levels around the world, why they may be much higher than originally believed.
Explore the wonders of weather with Weather in the Classroom. Scan the QR code now to help your kids soar to new heights with Soar with 6.
So the latest drought monitor came out from last week to this week, and I wanted to show you the difference real quick. You'll notice that abnormally dry conditions last week blanketed places like Winston to Marion, down through Lamar, Pickens County. Now this week, we now have moderately dry conditions. We actually picked up some rain last week, which I thought would have helped our drought across the state. And in fact, it really didn't do much of a difference. You'll notice that again, the moderately dry conditions have taken over for Marion, Winston, into Coleman, Blount, Etowah counties through Calhoun, and even Cleburne down through Chambers, Randolph. Look at Lee County under an extreme drought. City of Auburn, Opelika, you are in desperate need of some rain, and still very abnormally dry for portions of Jefferson, Tuscaloosa, Walker, and even Fayette and Lamar counties. The departure for the year, so this is where we're sitting in a deficit from the beginning of the year. We need about an inch and a quarter to get into that surplus. And over the next 3 days, we could see some rain. This is where we're sitting right now for the month of March. We haven't seen any 5 days in. We average 5.66 inches for the month of March. Fairly wet this time of year in Birmingham. Tuscaloosa just shy of about 5 inches, and Anniston sits a little over 5 1/4. Now, over the next 3 days, yes, with the rain that we're anticipating between Friday, Saturday, into Sunday, could get around a 1/2 inch to an inch of rain. There's a big change happening next week, and long-range models suggest that Wednesday, Thursday, we could be picking up a good amount of rain, which will lead to a big drastic also drop in temperatures by this time next week. But look at these totals over the next 7 days. So adding in the rain from tomorrow and Saturday, Sunday through the end of next week, we could be anywhere between 2.5 to 3 inches. So any amount of rain that we receive over the next 7 going to help the drought across the state.
On March 5th, 2022, a tornado outbreak struck much of central and southern Iowa. 3 supercell thunderstorms developed, 2 of which produced 3 tornadoes, and the third producing multiple tornadoes from southwest Iowa and into central Iowa. The strongest of these tornadoes was the Winterset EF4 tornado that was on the ground for nearly an hour and a half from 4:26 p.m. to 6 p.m. And this tornado had estimated peak wind speeds of 170 miles per hour, a path length of 70.6 miles, and was 900 yards wide at its peak. And at the time, it was the first EF4 tornado in the state of Iowa since October 4th, 2013, and the second longest path from a tornado in Iowa since June 7th, 1984. Unfortunately, this tornado did claim the lives of 7 people.
On this date, 63 years ago, an EF4 tornado hit Bessemer. It started in the southwest part of Bessemer, and then it moved northeast through parts of Homewood and even Mountain Brook. Most of the damage was in the first 2 miles of the tornado's path in Bessemer. More than 200 buildings were damaged, 29 were destroyed, and 25 had major damage in Bessemer. 40 other buildings in the area sustained damage, and 35 people were hurt, but good thing no one was killed. An earthquake in northwest Louisiana early Thursday is one for the record books. Its magnitude was 4.9 according to the U.S. Geological Survey. That's the most powerful ever on Louisiana soil, beating out a 4.2 in 1930. It was centered about 40 miles southeast of Shreveport. The quake doesn't appear to have caused any injuries or damage. Wes?
All right, earthquakes in Louisiana. Tania, you and I were talking about the fires earlier. Right now, some decent visibility of the view just in from Gadsden. That's from Matt Reeves there, but a lovely view this evening at sunset time. How about Clay County showing off here from Lineville? Lim Burrell sharing that lovely Sweet Home Alabama view there. Thank you, Lim, for sharing that view. It was a record-setting day in Alabama. Birmingham and Tuscaloosa tied a record. There were a couple of years on this. We hit 83 in 1974 and 1955, and we tied the record at Birmingham and Tuscaloosa. Same for Anniston, but the record high stands at 84. We made it to 83. We almost made it, but we were a degree from tying the record. But it has certainly been a record-setting day. It feels more like May, and we know it's not going to stay that way for a long time, especially when you're talking March in Alabama. And we're going to see these storm chances start to ramp up. Really need to watch it starting on Saturday. Could have some storms with gusty winds. I still see this as more of a a line of storms that's kind of weakening as it moves south across the state throughout Saturday night. But coming off of a warm day, sometimes these storms can overperform. So that's why we're calling a first alert weather day Saturday into the afternoon and evening. Greatest risk in areas northwest. I think you're in good shape. You have morning plans through lunchtime Saturday. A lot of this comes in during the afternoon, but it leaves us with some wet weather for Saturday night. There could be some strong wind gusts. Of course, with any storm, lightning is a concern, and even starting tomorrow, there could be some pop-up storms. So make sure if you don't have it, our First Alert Weather app gives you those lightning alerts. Great tool this time of the year. Make sure you have that so you can receive lightning alerts. Okay, we're going to walk you through the forecast data. You can see we've got the wind direction there on the screen for you as well. We've got the cloud cover and the precipitation forecast. So let's work through the clock here, and we take you to 2 o'clock on Friday, tomorrow afternoon. And yes, you can see how some of those pop-up showers start to show up around here. So we are expecting some scattered showers, maybe a passing storm. The wet weather will be around for the drive tomorrow, so plan for that 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. Then things settle down, rather quiet Saturday morning. Tomorrow morning and Saturday morning could be some low clouds, maybe some patchy fog, especially tomorrow morning. But the rest of the day is kind of like late spring and into summer. We break in a little bit of sunshine, really heat up, very steamy out there. Saturday is going to be a day like that back in the 80s. But then what's left of one of these complexes of storms with all this active weather happening to the west of the system tomorrow, what's left of that's going to move in here later on Saturday. And we'll have some storms and some rain and a decent little gust front that's going to lead that as it moves in. And you can see how it kind of weakens. It may become what we call outflow dominant, and these storms may weaken rather quickly into the evening on Saturday. But just right as this moves in, wouldn't surprise me if we had some 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts as this moves in during the afternoon. And depending on how far south it goes, some of the data keeps us down into South Alabama. We see things really cool off and maybe some leftover rain, some rumbles into Saturday night. But then Sunday, we might end up with a decent period of dry weather during the day before we start to see some pop-up showers and storms come back. But looks like Sunday's highs, we go from 80s on Saturday to highs in the 60s and 70s on Sunday. So there will be a noticeable drop, but we heat up again in the next week, and we need to watch Wednesday, as Megan was just talking about, higher rain chances. I'm seeing a system. This is one we need to watch. Could be a bigger, as far as a hail risk into next week. We'll need to watch that closely. Let's get over the 10-day forecast, and moving ahead to Wednesday, Thursday, and next week, rain chances go up. After that is when we could start to notice some drops in temperatures. And I mean, we're talking about some colder nights. Notice lows there. We're seeing some 40s coming back. And as we move ahead and go to Tania, we're going to be talking about in the long-range forecast, Tania, you and I were discussing the possibility around St. Patrick's Day, some long-range data. Now we have the American model, Euro, and Canadian model, all three suggesting the possibility of some cooler temperatures.
Yeah, Wes, you're exactly right. The big question now is just how much colder will we be after the system possibly brings us some cooler air. So we're paying very close attention to that, and we'll be fine-tuning it the closer we get. But you know, we've got that beyond the 10-day forecast, giving you the first alert look. March 13th through March 19th, even the Climate Prediction Center is picking up on it. All that above average temperatures will stay to the west, below average north and east, and we'll be either at average and slightly, maybe even below average for some of our early mornings. Keep in mind, our average high is around 64 degrees. So will we be far below that or far above that? That's the question that we'll be pinpointing as we get closer to middle of the month of March. Here's March 12th, suggesting that Thursday afternoon highs may top out in the 60s, which is 20 degrees cooler than what we've been dealing with this week. We were in the 80s today. And look at some of these morning temperatures. Areas to the north, we're tracking some low 40s. Again, these numbers will likely change, but our models are still picking up on some cold air settling in. And this is just one model showing that we could see some 30s returning for us closer to St. Patrick's Day, as Wes was mentioning. We're going to certainly keep our eyes on it, and we will let you know, of course. But let's talk about precipitation. We're tracking above average rainfall for the north and east, below average for the south and west, excuse me. But here across central Alabama, we'll be closer to near average, where we typically are in the middle of the month of March. That's that beyond the 10-day forecast. We'll let you know as things are likely going to change right here on Weather Extra. But a Florida doctoral student is working on developing a battery powered by seawater. As as Justin White tells us, experts say the technology could actually change how submarines operate, allowing them to stay under the water much longer.
Inside the FAMU FSU College of Engineering, Destiny Law is building a lithium seawater flow battery designed for unmanned submarines and underwater vehicles, something that can help our military.
Like for submarines right now, they have to like come back to the surface to like recharge and stuff, and they can sometimes have to stay for like hours or sometimes even days to recharge, and that's like very dangerous for like our soldiers. So with our battery, they won't. If they do have to come back up to like recharge, it's only for like probably like a few, like maybe max 30 minutes or so.
By incorporating seawater into the battery's chemistry, Law says the system could deliver more than 10 times the energy of traditional lithium-ion batteries. Her research is the first of a renewed partnership between Florida A&M University and the Boeing company.
Working with Destiny actually made this quite exciting, because Destiny was so dedicated to the project. She loved it from the very beginning. And not only that, you could see it by coming the weekends, doing the work for this. She was really excited. It's been great actually to have Destiny work on this one, and we hope actually we'll actually continue this project for the next 3 or 4 years again. In fact, we're already looking for other students to continue her work.
Law is continuing her work and research, taking a key step to real-world development, but this didn't happen without setbacks.
Finally being able to get that success after all those failures was like the best part of like my research. Because coming in, I had very limited battery knowledge. Didn't really have like battery knowledge behind me. So coming in, I was like, it was a whole new world for me. And that was like the most exciting part, like to open up a new space that I've never been in as an electrical engineer.
Good for her. Well, new research suggests the world's sea levels may be much higher than scientists previously thought. That could mean coastal communities may face flooding risks sooner than expected. A new study found global coastal sea levels are about a foot higher on average than earlier estimates. In some regions, sea levels are as much as 3 feet higher. The researchers reviewed hundreds of studies, sea level rise, and they found many relied mainly on models rather than real-world satellite measurements. Scientists say that oversight may have led to widespread underestimates of how much land and how many people are at risk from coastal flooding. A Texas judge is allowing Camp Mystic to reopen. The judge said Wednesday the camp must preserve all cabins damaged in last year's flood, but stopped short of blocking reopening plans. 25 girls, including one from Mountain Brook, and 2 counselors died at Camp Mystic last 4th of July after flash floods rose the Guadalupe River. The family of the one camper asked the judge to prevent the camp's owners from reopening. The family says any changes at the camp may destroy evidence needed for their ongoing lawsuit. Camp Mystic attorney Michael Watts says the owners are working to implement the proper safety measures needed to welcome campers this summer.
Download the WBRC streaming app and watch WBRC News Now, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. Search WBRC wherever you stream.
All right, just like that, now we're talking about several first alert weather days. Turns very stormy, very spring-like.
Oh yeah, we've got a first alert weather day Saturday, and then next week we're watching for maybe some severe storms. But Wes?
Yeah, we've had some nice weather, and that means we've had quite a collection of photos from you, and you have been sharing some views on these warmer days, but we've had some beautiful moon photos, of course, with the eclipse and all happening this week. That was Lake Mitchell, Kaylee Doucette sharing the beautiful March warm moon, and that was shared on the First Alert Weather app.
And what you're looking at here are
noctilucent clouds
seen right after a recent rocket launch in Florida. This picture is from Roy Beecham, who captured it in Melbourne, Florida. That's about 35 miles from the rocket launch site at Cape Canaveral.
Yeah, you don't see those clouds often. Those are upper atmospheric clouds, so they have a very unique appearance there. But hey, listen, tonight we're going to be updating you on that First Alert Weather Day for Storm Saturday. Get an update on the timing. Check in with us tonight, first at 9.
First at 9.